my global family. Welcome to the Global Yaadie podcast. I am your host, Dana Lynn Swaby, and I'm so excited. I'm always excited, but this episode, for the first time in Global Yaadie history, we are filming on set. So we are inside the studios of Esirom Ltd, straight out of Kingston, Jamaica, which means that we're opening up ourselves to a YouTube audience. So if you're watching, I'm not used to saying that, but if you're watching and listening on YouTube, welcome and thank you for tuning into this podcast. And of course, to my regular listeners, my regular Global Yaadie family, thank you so much for staying with us if you're listening on your preferred platform. So inside Esirom Studios, it means that today I'm going to be spotlighting the Esirom Foundation because they've been doing some awesome work in Jamaica, and Global Yaadie has had them on our radar for some time. So joining me today, I have Khalia Hall, who is the Sustainability Coordinator for Esirom Foundation. Khalia, usually I say welcome to the Global Yaadie podcast, but I'm in your home, so
I have to welcome you. Thank you for having me nonetheless. Really happy that finally made this happen.
Yes, and thank you for having us as well. I'm excited because, like you said, I appreciate that we had some dialogue, and I think this is a perfect example of speaking things into being. A long time I've been watching the work, incredible work that Esirom has been doing, and I'm just really excited to get to know the inner workings and all of that. But before we get into those parts, I want you to share with the Global Yaadie family, who is Khalia Hall, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I think my background is a very mix-up.
Yeah, we love mix-up as Jamaicans.
It's a good type of mix-up though. So
yeah.
My background is actually in mechanical engineering. I have a bachelor's and master's in that. I got that from the University of Manchester in England. But I actually haven't worked a full-time engineering job since.
Yeah.
I had one internship in Italy, a 4-month internship in a summer. Apart from that, nothing. So people say, how you study engineering and you don't use it, but it's a field that's very applicable to a lot of industries. So I went into food, I was doing plant-based meals, I did Miss Jamaica for a year.
2021, yes.
And then I transitioned into Esirom Foundation, which is in alignment with everything I've done and believed in, because take the plant-based meals that I used to prepare and the health side of things. The reason I even took that route is because I found out that animal agriculture contributes to climate change. And so the Esirom Foundation, how I look at it is, it gave me a platform to amplify messages around things I care about, because me as an individual, you can't do nothing alone,
Right.
But when you have a platform, a corporate, network now, you can achieve a lot more. So I'm really grateful to be working here, and it's been nothing but amazing.
Yeah.
In September, I started 2022.
Right, man. And guess what? Don't worry about not using that. But you've been using the degree, because as an engineer, you've been engineering some great things here at Esirom, girl. I've been watching you before I met you. You know how long? Your number has been in my phone. So I'm very happy that I got the opportunity to use it. And you said so many things that I want to touch on, because that's actually why I'm here. And even now, coming back to know Esirom Foundation and the work that the foundation is doing, you've been on the Global Yaadie radar because, just as you said, as a corporate entity, you're doing something different in this space for Jamaica and the Caribbean, and for, I dare say, even behavior change. The very dynamic and great way that you've been able to unleash some online content. And I know I say online, but I know a lot of things are happening in the ground space, offline, and all of that. But I just appreciate what Esirom is rolling out. So tell us a little bit about that.
So the communication side of things, I would say, is in an effort to, of course, raise awareness, educate. That's always a part of what we're doing. But beneath all of that, it's trying to make sustainability sexy, right? You and I spoke about this before. Because it's not a topic that people are naturally drawn to in the same way that in the past, when that's what I used to do. Health, like plant-based foods, trying to get Jamaicans to up their vegetable intake. It's similar topics, right?
Right.
You get people interested in seemingly boring things. I love the process of taking complex or boring information and transforming it into something that's not only more easy to understand, but is engaging and interesting. And maybe someone who wouldn't have listened before is now all ears and all eyes open, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm listening to you and I'm like, this is how I know I've met my people. Because outside of the podcast, I am a communication practitioner or specialist by profession. And I also got my start working as an intern in a climate change project. So that's where I got this push from, from a professional standpoint, and even recognizing my role of what I can do as a communicator and someone that loves to talk. How do I lend my talent to this space about taking complex issues and breaking it down? So I love that. And that is why I'm always all eyes and ears whenever I see or hear anything from Esirom. So love that. You said something about the vegan things. Maybe I'll need to get some recipes from you afterwards, because I noted, of course, that even I took a little mini tour, while we're making our teas downstairs for Esirom, and I saw that even in your workspace, that there's a chart giving points for bringing vegan or vegetarian lunches to work and all of those things. So I love the fact that it's not also about what you're putting out in the public space, the foundation or the organization itself, getting your family, the staff, to incorporate these practices. So outside of that now, getting down into the exciting things, Esirom is being busy, quite active on the foundation. A lot of exciting environment initiatives that you're doing, work with the Kingston Harbour and all of that. So can you tell us about some of those work?
Sure. So you touched on, I would say, the main projects that we're working on now, probably our biggest project, and it's Kerry for short.
Kerry?
Is a nice little name. Kerry.
Kerry.
KHERI, and it stands for the Kingston Harbour Eco Restoration Initiative. It's a two-pronged approach that we use. So the first part is where we work downstream. We've built this waste collector pontoon. Maybe many of you have seen it on Instagram. A lot of people say, oh, you guys are the ones who built the pontoon. We saw it on Instagram.
Lovely.
We've built this waste collector pontoon to collect garbage from the harbour. We have a winch to haul up heavier items such as fridges, stoves, which we've collected a lot of.
Listen, fridge in the harbour?
It might not seem. I don't get it.
Oh, so I like that, because you said there are two elements or prongs of the project. And so the upstream part now, I know that you're doing some work, or will be doing some work with inner city communities, and doing some research on what Esirom mentions in relation to that project. I know that you are planning to engage these communities in a creative sort of way. So what are those plans like, or has that started as yet?
Yeah, so we're in the planning stages now, going to start executing in March. And the reason is because cleaning up is not the solution. We like to say it's a Band-Aid fix. Because if we clean up today, the garbage is back tomorrow. So we'll have to address the problem from the source, where people are dumping garbage in the gullies or littering generally. And then when the rain comes, it washes it down. So we're working with 3 schools and 3 communities with a partnership with the U.S. Embassy. 3 schools are Camperdown, Dunnan, Excelsior, and 3 communities as well: Rockfort, Manly Meadows, and Doncaster. And we're using non-traditional methods. So think plays, skits, art and craft competitions, a recycling competition where the community that collects the most plastic wins prizes at the end. So a lot of exciting things in store to get Jamaicans excited about the topic, because if we come to them with a boring presentation, nobody really wants to listen. So sometimes you have to find creative ways to get them engaged.
Well, I will definitely be tuning in on that initiative, because climate creativity or creative advocacy, I'm all here for it. And I love that you mentioned that it's a Band-Aid fix. Cleaning isn't the solution, because I recall, even as part of my volunteer group, I'm a part of Rotary Club for St. Andrew. The Rotary Club of St. Andrew, rather. And, so international coastal cleanup activities are not new to us. And what we've done as a club is also embark on quarterly cleanups. But then there was one particular day, or maybe it was a coastal cleanup day, when I'm like, listen, this is never ending. Didn't we come to this spot last year and clean up? And why is there so much? So I love that you're saying you're now addressing the issue from another standpoint or perspective, because it doesn't make any sense to wait until at the collection point we're collecting the garbage and rubble. So
not to say it's not necessary.
Yes, definitely.
There's beauty in cleaning up as well, in that you're literally immediately removing the problem. Something that was there is no longer there.
Yeah.
And if you do it regularly, it can also increase respect for that space. The people who see that it's regularly cleaned will no longer dump there.
You're right.
So it has its value, but it's not, I would say,
only
a solution on its own.
Definitely. I do think, as you said, you're cultivating a very good practice, and even going back to the pond to the Kingston Harbour Kerry. So sophisticated. I know we have Syrian Alexa now, Kerry, even though different kind of, but it's a very futuristic name, and I like that. And that's also a kind of way of making environment sexy. But, I even see coming back to what you're doing locally or offline and how it feeds into online. Like those 2 reels alone would feature in the Kingston Harbour Project over 12.2 million views. Just 2 reels, over 12.2 million views. So people are seeing, and I'm really hoping that they're inspired, to take action in that kind of way. So love that. One of the other things I see sparking a lot of interest online, and I love the kind of emphasis that you meaning Esirom, placing on incorporating sustainable lifestyle practices that bring your own things or bring your own things or bring your own cup. I see that a lot on your social media platforms. What has the reception been like for this campaign?
It's been great so far. We've been getting story posts from people tagging us every time they bring their own cup. They even take pictures of the receipt to show that they received their 10%. And it's the second time we're doing it. So in 2022, December 2022, we did a plastic-free Christmas campaign. And we did a bring your own cup. So it was standard English back then, but it's transformed, rebranded, connecting to Jamaica.
Culturally relevant.
We tell them, bring your own things. And it's something that is so simple to do. I didn't always do it, and I'd say my work with the foundation has improved my environmental stewardship. It's something so easy. We forget because I think we don't prioritize it. It's not important to us. But just wrapping a little piece of tissue around a fork and sticking it in your bag will help you to refuse every single time you buy lunch on the road. You don't have to take that plastic fork anymore. And it might seem small, but all of us think, my individual action doesn't count, but it really adds up and makes a difference. So I love the Bring Your Own Things campaign as well.
Quick, Bring Your Own Things pop quiz or this or that quiz. Okay. Bamboo straw, metal straw.
Metal, bamboo, wetness. I don't like that.
Yeah. I really love that concept. And the reason I also wanted to bring that up is that it's very refreshing to see that you've managed to bring on board several cafes and other entities to give customers discounts, because in Jamaica, we tend to feel like, incentivizing people, like giving them discounts is probably not a thing for those kind of activities. So I love seeing that. I went to school abroad for my master's and it was common for us to use reusable cups and get discounts and get money off. So to see that kind of practice, it shows that Jamaicans are also committed and we're looking to embrace. Can you get the supermarkets to probably
that's the next step. I mean, the plastic bags are gone. So you realize when you get fruits and vegetables, you still have those.
Right.
Those plastic bags are still there. So they're loopholes.
Exactly. Right. So, and I recently got some pair of mesh bags that are good for carrying fruit. So I don't really do my own market shopping, but I think it's a very good thing to walk. And even in my other spaces, sometimes in my day job, where I go into the field a lot, you always have this energy to say, like, bring your bag, because when you go into the country area, getting the fruits, you're getting vegetables, it's always good. So it's a very good practice. So bringing our, why was I going to say that? Bringing our own things, that's like horrible mashup of Jamaican dialect and English. But I have to remember, this is a global audience, but it's bring your own things, bring your own things, bring your own thing. So, I don't even remember the English translation because I was so caught up in that. But you said something, and it was my very next question to you about how working here has shaped your perspective. That's exactly what I was going to ask you about. Being immersed in this kind of work, now that you're at Esirom Foundation, even though you were pro-environment before, how has it now shaped your outlook on environmental stewardship?
I have learned a whole lot, telling you that much. I thought before I worked here that, I'm pretty conscious. I do the right thing in majority of situations. I don't little, and I think a lot of people think that.
Yeah.
Once you do little, you recycle when you can, you think you're doing great. And I was also eating a plant-based diet, so I thought, man, I'm doing all things great. Until I learned the reality of so many things. Plastic, for example, never ever goes away. It persists in the environment forever. Every single piece of plastic we've ever used is in the environment somewhere, somehow. Maybe broken down into tiny microplastics, but it's still there.
My gosh.
In Jamaica, yes, we recycle a lot of our plastic doesn't get recycled. All of that plastic is still there in the environment. And globally, only, I think 9%, I know it's less than 10% of all the plastic we use even gets recycled.
Yeah.
So plastic is a big issue. And the solution there is just don't use it, you know?
Yeah.
On the business side, don't manufacture it. We haven't gotten there yet because there's no alternative material. I mean, there are alternatives, but nothing that can compete with the price, durability, flexibility, etc. of plastic. So we have a long way to go, but sorry, back on track. What I've learned. No, because I feel when I get into the issue, sometimes I feel I get very passionate and I can go off on all tangents.
Yeah.
But I would say I learned that I don't know everything and I am not perfect, and there is a lot to learn. And as well in Jamaica and the world, even when you know what you know, you can't always do the right thing. So the other day it was Trevor, the fisherman that we work with, his birthday. Yeah. We needed a cake for him. Never had time to bake a cake for myself, so I went to the supermarket to get a cake. Mega Mart was the most convenient. This is not a plug for Mega Mart. Trying to find a cake in a box so that I'm not purchasing anything in plastic. Couldn't find it. So
what? It's
in the plastic. The one with the plastic cover.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay, I have to purchase that. Looking for ice come in plastic. Like, even if you want to avoid purchasing plastic, there's situations where you can't avoid it, and it really hurts my heart. So I've learned a lot, but I'm trying.
Well, I know, and sometimes that's what sustainability means. It's not that we don't want to, but all at once we can't get rid of everything. But that's what the design innovators are for. I probably think you're somebody, some parts of the world, and in some lab somewhere now working on how can we, eliminate, gradually some of these things. But I don't want to say it is what it is, but sometimes that's part of it. So what I meant to touch on a little bit was, even with the recycling initiatives, I love the fact that we are also showing to people how they can take individual responsibility. But I love this. My favorite word is, enabling environments, because I even recall one, I'm from the country, and I remember it was Christmas, and you have family who are abroad, and my aunt came out from Canada, and she was like, okay, we're used to recycling. Here's plastic, here's my glass, but no, there's no, who's collecting this when I do it in Jamaica? So yes, I love to see that there is an increase in the recycling receptacles in public spaces and schools and other corporate organizations and all of that. But even in some communities too, you will see the little creative fish pots and all of that being built, and the plastic bubbling up. But
St. Elizabeth.
I'm from St. Elizabeth.
Okay, I've seen that.
Yes, but then now you say, when they're now full to the brim, where does it get collected? But at the same time, we're taking some encouraging steps. But I do think there's a lot more to see how so it's important that even from maybe a government standpoint, a private sector standpoint, that we don't shift the blame on people, because sometimes it's a chicken and egg thing, where was there that enabling environment? But we love to see the progress. So I can bring up Trevor. I don't know if he's a man who sometimes on the videos, you have some videos in the boats with the boats on the telling us the story about what was there before. So because of this is such a Jamaican thing, touching people. This is how now you can see. This is how we're getting into the conversation. So what is it like learning from people like Trevor when you're doing your community engagement and trying to plan how it is that you're going to implement some of these sustainability initiatives? What are the people saying? What are some of the things that they've taught you through this process?
So I'd say meeting people like Trevor has given me a lot of hope, because sometimes if you just look at the broad picture, you feel like, Lord, why Jamaican people have a state? So why the country have a state? So as a culture, why do we treat the environment this way? But people like Trevor and the entire Rockfort team. So there's a group of us in Rockfort who will go out on the water, will clean together, volunteers in. We don't get paid apart from, a little meal after the cleanup. And to see people come out like that and to hear their views on the issue and how much they care about it, it gives me hope. It also shows how much our actions can affect the livelihood of others, traders and fishermen.
Yes.
So sometimes I'm setting net to catch fish and then catch plastic.
Yeah, I remember that.
So in the video he said it, and it's to see a plastic bottle in the water with food, you know, something that you're collecting for your livelihood, it just goes to show how widespread or lifestyle choices can have impact. So no, we learn a lot from the communities, and honestly, it's a blessing that we met Trevor. He's like family to us now. He does so much for us. He builds bowling alleys made from upcycled plastic. He's about to build reusable bamboo tents for events so that we don't have to use a typical one. So the craftsmanship in Jamaica is also amazing. And, you know, we're just grateful to have him on our team.
Nice. Which means then, because I was, and we need to talk about this, I was in attendance at last year's Earth Hour concert. I even wanted to do a poem, but I got shy and I was late. But let's not, enough about that. But at Earth Hour, I love the fact that, so you're going to tell us about Earth Hour, but I had to plug, because you mentioned Trevor, some very exciting games. So I did do the plastic bowl. Was it the
bowling alley?
The bowling alley. I never want to sing. And then I think there was,
a ring toss. There was a ring toss.
Dismal.
It was hard.
Because, you know, it's playful. It looks easy. And, you know, it was fun. And especially fun watching the competitive guys thinking they got this. And they were tragic. But I love it was clear how, you know, it was the sustainability element of constructing these games. No plastic, even though I made a mistake and said plastic in the construction. So it's really great to see the kind of opportunity that you've been able to incorporate for people. So Trevor is your builder, as well as, you know, the storyteller and living the reality of what it means when we're not taking care of the environment. So Earth Hour, though.
Yes, it's coming up March 23rd this year.
So it's happening again.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'd say we use Earth Hour aside from the message. So it's to raise awareness about climate change. It's a global movement.
Yes.
190 countries worldwide. In Jamaica, we execute it, and we do that with a free live music concert, reggae focused. We use it as a means of showing people that you can sustainably execute an event as well, because in Jamaica, we are a party people.
Yes.
Party.
Yes.
Every day, all day. When you go to these parties, these tents are set up. The trussing is wrapped with fabric. At the end of the event, all of that fabric gets thrown away.
Yes.
You know, the single-use plastic bottles that are there, any decor that was made specifically for the events, a sign that's made from plastic letters, it's all tossed. And there's a way to approach it to still have an event and have a good time, but do it sustainably. So we don't see anybody really doing that in Jamaica.
Yes.
We're trying to set
sometimes that's what it is. The repetition and the continuity will build traction. And I must commend Esirom, because I was there and I saw all of that. So just at the entrance, the games, how the food was being served, the signage, the interaction. So even writing on the boards, sustainability. I was going to say screaming at you, but not in a negative way, just saying, hey guys, this is how you can do this. So you've been using the honest trick in the book, show and tell, you know, and I'm sure that there were other people there, party promoters, event planners, clients, customers, you know, maybe documenting. Maybe it's not a case where they're going to immediately implement, but that must have stood out in their minds, as it did mine. And, you know, what it will do is, as a go forward, people will say, we saw this at Earth Hour. Let's see how we can do this here. So over time, it will build. And I love that. So even though I call myself the Global Yaadie, like I said, I've been following your page. So I do note that Esirom has been doing some travel as well and going to conferences and events that are showing how we can incorporate sustainable practices through infrastructure, decor, amenities and facilities, and bring that back. So more on that, because I'm going to ask you about some of the upcoming projects. But, you know, I love to see the rollout of this kind of work. Because you mentioned Earth Hour, there's another initiative that I wanted to get into, because when you spoke about Trevor fishing and pulling up bottles, and it's always obvious that persons who work in nature-based or natural resource-based livelihoods don't fully understand, you know, the impacts of or negative or you know, poor environmental practices on our environment. And then, of course, with us being from Jamaica in the Caribbean and climate change increasingly being, you know, adversely impacting our space, we do understand that we have to take action at a different level. And I see that Esirom is also looking at how we connect people with nature in different ways, because that's the best way for us to really see that, hey, we have to take care of the environment. So National Park Week.
That's also coming up in April.
Wow.
Yeah, you and I spoke about this on the phone, that bringing people into the natural space and having them interact with it themselves will build a greater appreciation for it, because we're so cut off from the natural world. Look at where we are now. This plant isn't even real, Sorry, we have real plants over there, but they weren't for this purpose. Anyway.
Listen, not everybody's green thumbing them, because I have to tell on myself. But yeah.
So, yeah, if you think about it, you wake up in the morning, turn off your alarm, go in the car, you're listening to the radio, beep, beep, you get vexed at a taxi man, come and cut it off, you go in the office, you're on a laptop, you're talking to your co-workers, you buy lunch on the road, fast food place, you come home, you throw away trash, when in traffic going home, you go back, you reach home, you're on your phone scrolling, maybe you watch some Netflix. When do we walk through a park? Especially because Kingston doesn't even have that many green spaces that are accessible and in high foot traffic areas. Holywell is beautiful. It's all the way up in the Blue Mountains. And so we use National Park Week to bring people up there. So many people have never been to Holywell.
Yes.
Blue Mountains, which is such, like a big thing in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And have them experience that, arrange different activities, yoga in the gardens, a scavenger hunt, a paint and sip. This year we're doing forget what we're calling it, Moonlight and Flicks. It's like a movie under the star.
Of course, I'm sure that's going to get traction among a lot of people for so many different reasons. But I mean, anything to appreciate nature. But I love that. That's a great theme.
That's another one of our initiatives. It seems very simple, you're just bringing people into a green space, but they learn while they're there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the fact that you mentioned about the green areas, not meaning foot traffic, because it's about reach. And nowadays, like I said, it makes no sense to try to push individual responsibility. The reality is that we have to find ways to make behavior change easy for people. And as you mentioned with green spaces and parks, so even my club, this Saturday at the time of this recording, so maybe by the time that you're listening, it has gone already, but we were going to do like a yoga in the garden. So this is Hope Gardens that my Rotary Club uses. So whenever we want sometimes it's a potluck. We've done potlucks there. We've done award ceremonies there. And when we want to do any exercise or fitness activities, that's the place of choice. And then over time, people appreciate the value of these spaces. So if there's something that's happening to a green space somewhere else, we're hoping that voices will become louder because people understand what it means. It's not just about environmental preservation, but it's preservation of culture. It's about socialization and well-being.
We're stressed out these days.
Yes. Mental health and green spaces. We need more of these places. All right. Right. So I want to know about some of the exciting projects that are coming up. Are there any other things on the horizon for Esirom now?
Yes, so aside from Kerry, the upstream part, I don't think I touched on, or I did. No,
yeah,
I did.
You did.
Okay, that's a big project that we're undertaking this year. We're also going to go a bit into urban planning. That's a pillar of ours. It's our third.
Hey, Esirom.
Yeah. Look out for us. It's been our third pillar for some time, but we just haven't done the groundwork. We haven't gotten a project off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So one of our projects will be a water dispenser the initiative is called Free Water for Cities. So in the same way that when you're going through an airport, you have those water dispensers, you just put your bottle under it and you get some water. We believe water is not a privilege, it's a right. All of us should have access to it. And it will also cut down on single-use plastics. If you want water, you don't have to buy a bucket of water. You can just fill up with your reusable water. So it will also encourage reusable adoption. We'll do a pilot in a high foot traffic area and then hopefully, replicate that in other high foot traffic areas. We'll also be doing one at Holywell.
See, so it's in a rural area, Black River, St. Elizabeth. I'm calling.
I'll make note of it.
Yeah.
I'll make note of it. But that's one of the projects under that area, as well as community gardens. So it's aligned with our grow your own food initiative, right? So same thing, Kingston lacks green spaces, which is important for not just well-being and everything.
Right.
I said air quality. So we want to find little spots in inner city communities that we can transform into a green
Lovely.
space, no matter how small. Maybe, allow residents to grow their own food there as well and teach them the importance of sustainable agriculture. So a lot of exciting things.
Yeah.
I can't go through every single one.
Right. So at the end, we're going to tell people, how they can keep up with Esirom and all these exciting things that you're about to roll out. So I wish I could speak to you for hours, and I really can, but we can't. But so 2 things I want to ask you before we leave. So we've been diving into all the wonderful work that Esirom has been doing and taking a refreshing approach to environment communication and action. And we love that. And of course, we have to give kudos. There are other organizations in Jamaica that are doing similar work, even if it's not through these initiatives. But, sometimes, to be honest, some things are kind of touch and go. I mean, tree planting is always the 2 main things I hear about: tree planting and beach cleanup. And they are important, and they are a very good base, especially getting people to start if they haven't. Because I've seen how workplaces are able to mobilize not just their staff, but families, and it becomes that social thing to do. But if we want to go further and deeper, do you have any recommendations on how some organizations can start or even do things differently?
I would say do some research into the problem, because when you understand the problem, you'll understand what's necessary to not fix it because it's a big problem, but to better address it. I think a lot of the times we do things because it checks a box or it will look good.
Yes.
And it's in our mission statement that we tackle environmental issues to create solution-driven impact. So it sounds like a bag of words, but it's really what we're trying to do. What is a solution to this problem? How can we maximize impact, not just for the environment, but the people who are connected to the environment? And so I think if corporate, whoever, groups, organizations were to look at problems really, and the goal is to have impact and, find a solution, then our work would be a lot more meaningful.
Wow, you're just much more than a sustainability coordinator. You're like a coach. But definitely I love that. And I think even the rest of the series or this season for Global Yaadie, when we're exploring sustainability from different angles, from people from different places and parts of the world, it's a deep think about how to do it, and not just the replication of what has already been done. What can you do differently? How can we attack problems or create solutions in ways that create lasting impact as well? So I love that. So last thing, for you, putting you on the spot now. I don't know which one is the camera. You want to look at it?
Right. I keep forgetting where to
camera, mic, as long as they can hear the sound of your voice. What's the call for action that you want to issue now to the people who are listening or watching this podcast and learning from what Esirom is doing? What is it that you want to leave with them?
As individuals, because it's a multi-stakeholder contribution, we'll take government, corporate, communities, schools, individuals to combat the issue. But as an individual, I would say every small action adds up, because we love to say, even a community member who is in one of the areas we'll be working with said, "Oh yeah, man, I dump garbage in the gully, but I don't put that much in it." That's what they said. But if everybody said that, a little bit and a little bit and a little bit add up. And when the rainfall, that's what we see going into the harbor. Well, so if people would understand that, you're just buying one juice in a plastic bottle, or you're just getting a fork, like one with your lunch. It's not that bad. Refusing that one fork, choosing to bring your own bottle instead of purchasing that plastic bottle, not dumping your little bit of garbage, quote unquote, in the gully, makes a big difference. Every small action adds up. And I think if, as individuals, we look at it like that, Jamaica, the world, would be a much better place, because individual action has weight.
Look in the camera, tell them. Individual
action has weight. Every single action adds up. So don't think that one decision or one purchase means nothing. It all adds up.
All right. So last thing, so I did say the final question, which you handled. But last, how can listeners and viewers connect with Esirom Foundation?
So our main mode of communication is Instagram. But you can find us on Facebook and YouTube as well. We'll post our videos there. It's at Esirom Foundation, or on Facebook these days, I think it's just the name. So Esirom Foundation. And will we have a TikTok? I'm not sure yet. That's something we've been playing around in, but you can find us on those platforms.
All right. People have been 2.2 million views and counting, and that's just 2 reels out of the multitude that you have. People have been finding and connecting. Well, Khalia, this was a refreshing interview. I'm so excited that we got to do this. So thank you again for being here on the Global Yaadie podcast. And
thank you for being here in the Esirom Studio.
Yes. Thank you so much to Esirom for our first visual, I almost said live, our first visual podcast series. And now to you, our new YouTube family, tell us what you think about this episode. If you'd love to see more, I know it'll be a little bit difficult because not all our guests are based in Jamaica, so we're gonna have to do some online content. But do you want to see us in our virtual space as well? Well, please subscribe to this channel at Global Yaadie, and drop your comments. Just keep share, do all of those things so more people can hear, and just show us your appreciation, as we do appreciate you for tuning in. And again, I can't thank Esirom enough, for hosting us in this space and making this a possibility. Thank you so much. Oh, and remember to like and subscribe, not just on YouTube, but for our listeners. I don't want the listeners to think that we've forgotten about you. But thank you so much. Until our next episode.